Before you judge me, let me tell you how I got here. The last time I saw my 3-year-old granddaughter Emma, she asked me, "Grandma, why don't you come anymore?" I smiled to protect her little heart and said, "Very soon, sweetheart." But my daughter-in-law Jessica had no such plans. She was doing everything she could to keep me away from Emma. For 2 years, I couldn't hug my granddaughter, couldn't hear her voice, couldn't watch her grow. Until I discovered that big secret from Jessica's past. That day, everything changed. Comment where you're watching from and stay until the end, because this isn't just a story, it's a story of justice. My name is Margaret. I'm 68 years old, and until now, I've considered motherhood and grandmotherhood the most sacred duties of my life. I raised my only son David by myself. His father left when he was 5 years old. From that day on, David was everything to me. I put him through school, he studied engineering at the University of Denver, found a good job, got married. And my greatest joy was my granddaughter Emma. When Emma was born, I was the first person to hold her at the hospital. The first thing I did when I took that tiny baby in my arms at Colorado General Hospital was sing her a lullaby. "You are my princess," I whispered in her ear. And she really was. She took her first steps in my house on Arlington Street. Her first word was, "Grandma." Every weekend she would stay with me, we'd bake cookies together and read storybooks. Back then, Jessica was very sweet too. When Emma was pregnant, she told me, "Mrs. Chen, you're going to be the best grandmother ever." We even organized the baby shower together. We bought decorations from Denver's best party supply store and planned the menu together. In those days, Jessica really seemed to value me. When David and Jessica got married, I was truly happy. Jessica was a beautiful, educated girl. A Boston University graduate with a good job at Hartwell Marketing in Denver. I thought, my son found a good wife. I even sat in the front row at their wedding at Rocky Mountain Resort, watching my son's happiness through my tears. Back then, Jessica was very respectful to me. She would address me as Mrs. Chen and shake my hand. She even told me, "I hope I can be like you one day." But now I understand it was all an act. The change started after Emma was born. At first, I didn't notice. They were small things. For example, David used to visit me with Emma on weekends. These were our traditional Sunday brunches. I would make pancakes, and David would put Emma in the high chair and feed her. Then these visits started decreasing with excuses like, "Jessica's exhausted, she needs rest." "Mom, you understand, right? New babies are exhausting," David would say. Of course I understood. I had been exhausted too when I was raising him. But after a while, these permissions stopped coming altogether. Then when I went to pick up Emma, they made excuses like, "She's too young still, we don't want her to get confused." Confused? I was her grandma. I remember how Emma would smile when she saw me, how she would reach out her hands. What confusion was this? Jessica's behavior started getting stranger and stranger. For example, when I saw them at Target, I approached them. "Oh, Emma, my beautiful granddaughter," I said. Jessica immediately put Emma in the shopping cart and walked away saying, "We're in a hurry." Emma was shouting, "Grandma," from behind, but Jessica never stopped. Another day, I was sitting at Starbucks when I saw them. Emma was sitting by the window, watching outside. When she saw me, she waved her hand excitedly. I walked toward the window to wave back. When Jessica saw me, she immediately picked Emma up and moved her to another table. Emma started crying. "I want to see Grandma," she was saying. But Jessica said, "Grandma's busy, sweetie, we can't disturb her." Busy? I was a retired woman and all I wanted was to spend time with my granddaughter. But the most painful part was, they started hiding Emma's birthdays from me. I wasn't invited to her first birthday. They said it was just a small family gathering. But I saw on Facebook that there were 30 people. Friends, work colleagues, Jessica's family, even David's old college friends. I wasn't there. Looking at those photos broke my heart. Emma was wearing a princess dress, had a birthday crown on, looked so happy. But her grandma wasn't by her side. Even during the cake cutting, my place was empty. On the second birthday, I couldn't stand it anymore. I called David. "Son, isn't it Emma's birthday today?" I said. There was shame in David's voice. "Mom, Jessica organized it. I didn't know you weren't invited." He was lying. Because the night before, I had texted David asking what gift I should get for the birthday party. He saw it but didn't reply. Now he was acting like he didn't know. "David, I'm your mother. Emma is my granddaughter. How can you have a birthday party without me?" "Mom, please don't make this difficult. Jessica planned everything. Maybe next year." Next year? I had missed Emma's second birthday. Was I going to miss her third too? Then it got even worse. When I went to their house on Maple Street to see Emma, I was met with the lie, "Mrs. Chen, Emma's napping." But I could hear Emma's voice from inside. "Grandma. Grandma's here," she was shouting. I could even hear music. Kids' songs were playing inside, so Emma must have been playing. "Jessica, I can hear her playing. She's not napping. She just went to sleep. Please don't ring the bell, you'll wake her up." Emma's voice got louder. "I want to see Grandma. Please, Mommy." Jessica closed the door tightly, saying, "She'll be cranky if she doesn't nap. Please understand." I heard that little voice gradually getting distant. Jessica had probably taken her upstairs. My heart was breaking into pieces. I tried to discuss this situation with David. We met at Cherry Creek Mall. "Son, what's happening? Why can't I see my granddaughter?" I said. David gave evasive answers. "Mom, you're overthinking this. Jessica's stressed, she's a new mother. She's also dealing with work pressure. Just be patient." Patient? David, I've been patient for months. Emma is growing up and I'm missing everything. Mom, Jessica has certain parenting philosophies. She reads a lot of books about child development. She thinks too many people around Emma will confuse her. I'm not people, David. I'm her grandmother. I raised you, remember? David's face showed signs of discomfort. Mom, things are different now. Parenting methods have evolved. Evolved? Was there an evolution of love, hugging, storytelling? Then I started seeing Jessica's true face. One day while shopping at King Soopers, I saw them. Emma was sitting in the shopping cart, playing with a toy. I approached them. "Hi Emma, sweetheart." Emma was very happy when she saw me. "Grandma. Look, I have a new toy." As I tried to get closer to her, Jessica came between us. "Mrs. Chen, we're really busy today. I just want to say hi to Emma. I haven't seen her in weeks." "Emma, say goodbye to Mrs. Chen. We need to go." Emma was confused. "But she's Grandma, not Mrs. Chen." Jessica's face tensed. "Emma, we talked about this. Say goodbye nicely." Emma's eyes filled with tears. "Can Grandma come to our house?" "Not today, sweetie. Grandma is very busy." Was I busy? I was sitting alone at home and all I wanted was to spend time with my granddaughter. Finally, I couldn't stand it and decided to talk to Jessica directly. One day I caught her coming out of work at the Hartwell Marketing Building. "Jessica, honey, can we talk?" I said. She didn't even invite me inside. We talked standing in the parking lot. There were other employees around. Jessica looked uncomfortable. "Mrs. Chen, this isn't a good time. I have a meeting." "Jessica, I just want to understand. Why can't I see Emma? What did I do wrong?" Jessica's mask fell off at that moment. She spoke in an ice-cold tone. "Mrs. Chen, I don't want Emma to have a close relationship with you." I was shocked. "Why? I love her so much." "Because you're too old-fashioned. You might teach her outdated values. Emma needs modern parenting, not your generation's methods. What outdated values? I just want to love her, read to her, bake cookies with her. That's exactly what I mean. All that sugar, those old fairy tales with outdated gender roles. I want Emma to grow up strong and independent. I couldn't understand. I had raised David to be strong and independent. As a single mother, I had raised and educated him. What wrong values were these? Jessica, I just want to be part of her life. I'm her grandmother. You're no longer part of our lives, she said. Very clear, very cold. Emma's growing up, I have my own parenting methods. Don't interfere. But David is my son. David supports my decisions. We're a family now, and we make our own rules. That day, walking home to Denver, I was crying. Passing through 16th Street Mall, I saw the happy families around. Grandparents were eating ice cream with their grandchildren, playing in the park. Why couldn't I experience this happiness? My neighbors Mrs. Patterson and Mr. Rodriguez wondered what was wrong with me. But I couldn't tell anyone. How could I explain? Saying, my daughter-in-law is keeping me away from my granddaughter, felt too painful. Months passed. I could only see Emma from a distance. When she went to Sunshine Preschool, when they went out to Washington Park. One day I saw her at the park, she had grown so much. She was playing on the swing, David was pushing her. Jessica was on the bench talking on the phone. I didn't dare go near them. Because I was afraid of Jessica's reaction. But Emma saw me. Grandma, she shouted and ran to me. David was surprised but smiling. I hugged Emma, how much she had grown, how beautiful she had become. Her hair had grown longer, her teeth had come in. Grandma, why don't you come to our house anymore? I missed you so much, she said. My heart broke. What answer would I give to that innocent child? Grandma's been very busy, sweetheart, but I love you so much, was all I could say. Can you push me on the swing? Daddy's tired. Of course, princess. I was so happy at that moment. While pushing Emma on the swing, I was listening to her laughter. Higher, Grandma, higher, she said. Just like David used to say when he was a child. But my happiness was short-lived. Jessica finished her phone conversation and saw us. Her eyes were blazing with anger. She came quickly and grabbed Emma's hand. Emma, come here. We need to go home. But I'm playing with Grandma. Emma, come here now. Emma started crying. I want to stay with Grandma. Jessica lifted Emma from the swing. I told you not to talk to strangers. She's not a stranger, she's my grandma. Emma, we talked about this. Say goodbye. Emma said, goodbye Grandma, through tears. As Jessica dragged her away, Emma shouted from behind, will you come to our house? David didn't say anything. He just mumbled, sorry Mom, and followed them. After that night, they thought I had completely given up. I no longer called or asked. But I hadn't given up. I was just looking for a different way. That's when I decided, would investigate Jessica. Who was this woman, where did she come from, what was in her past? There must be a reason for her to be so cruel. I started my first investigation with my neighbors. Mrs. Patterson had been living in the neighborhood for many years. I asked if anyone knew Jessica's family. You know Margaret, I've never seen Jessica's parents visit. Isn't that strange? When David moved in, your family was always around. But Jessica's family, never. This was interesting. When David and Jessica got married, Jessica's family had come to the wedding from California. But I never saw them after that. Then I learned to do internet research. My daughter Susan had taught me basic computer use. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I looked at Jessica's social media accounts. That's when I started discovering interesting things. Jessica's old photos, college years, old friends. And one detail caught my attention. In her old profile photos, she used a different last name. Not Jessica Morrison, but Jessica Rodriguez. With this information, I went to the Denver Public Library. Librarian Mrs. Kim taught me how to use online databases. Birth certificates, marriage records, court documents. And what I learned shocked me. Jessica had legally changed her name before marriage. Her real name was Jessica Rodriguez, and there was a very important record in her file: 18 months probation for credit card fraud, 200 hours community service. But this was just the beginning. With this information, I began to investigate more. I researched her academic records at Boston University. It was true that Jessica had graduated, but she wasn't on the honor roll. In fact, she had spent several semesters on academic probation. I found her old workplaces, old friends. I found her old friends from Boston University on LinkedIn. I contacted them. Most didn't reply, but a few did. And what I learned was incredible. In college, Jessica hadn't just committed credit card fraud, she had also stolen her roommates' identities. She had done online shopping with fake identities, then returned them for cash. Her former roommate Elena Vasquez told me this on the phone. Margaret, Jessica has serious issues. She's obsessed with control and manipulation. In college, she would completely cut people out of her life if they didn't follow her rules. She did it to me, to our other roommates, to boyfriends. It's a pattern. What kind of pattern? She isolates people from their support systems. First she's super sweet and charming. Then slowly she starts creating divisions. She'd tell me that our mutual friends were talking bad about me, or she'd schedule things when she knew I had other plans. Before I knew it, I was only hanging out with her and her approved friends. This sounded very familiar. Like how Jessica was distancing David from me. Elena, did she ever mention family? That's the weird thing. She claimed her parents were dead, but then later I found out they were alive. She just didn't want us to meet them. I think she was ashamed of something. Armed with this information, I also started investigating Jessica's current situation. I talked to her coworkers at Hartwell Marketing. Rebecca, whom I met by chance at a coffee shop, was Jessica's assistant. Mrs. Chin, I probably shouldn't say this, but Jessica is difficult to work with. She takes credit for other people's work, and there have been some questionable things with client accounts. What kind of questionable things? I can't say specifically, but HR is investigating some irregularities. Money that should have gone to client campaigns but didn't. Now I understood that Jessica had a complete fraud pattern. It had started in college, continued at work, and now she was manipulating her own family. But I learned the biggest bombshell from her former landlord in Boston. When Jessica was in Boston, she hadn't paid apartment rent for months, then disappeared. They couldn't even serve her the eviction notice. Armed with this information, I did one last investigation. I found Jessica's family in California. I talked to them. Jessica's mother, Mrs. Rodriguez, was very sad. Mrs. Chen, we haven't talked to Jessica in years. She cut us off completely when she moved to Boston. We didn't even know she got married until we saw it on Facebook. Why did she cut you off? We tried to help her when she got in trouble in college. But she was angry that we wouldn't bail her out of every problem. She said we were holding her back from her new life. That was the last time we spoke. Now I had strong cards in my hand. Jessica's criminal history, college fraud, suspicious transactions at work, cutting off her family, and most importantly, her manipulation pattern. But I didn't want to directly confront Jessica. Instead, I chose a more strategic path. I called David. Son, we need to talk. It's important. It's about Emma and our family's future. When David came, we sat across from each other in the living room. I had made coffee, made his favorite chocolate chip cookies. Just like I used to when he was a child. David, I said, I need to ask you something. How much do you really know about Jessica's background? David was surprised. What do you mean, Mom? I know everything about her. Do you know her real name? Jessica Morrison. That's her name. David, her real name is Jessica Rodriguez. She legally changed it before you met. David was uncomfortable. Mom, lots of people change their names. Maybe she didn't like her father's name or something. I took out the file I had. Inside were Jessica's old criminal records, name change documents, newspaper clippings about the college scandal, academic probation records from Boston University. As David flipped through the pages, his face gradually paled. Mom, where did you get all this? When someone tries to keep me away from my granddaughter without a valid reason, I find out why, I said. David, this woman has been hiding everything from you. She had a criminal record before marriage. She committed multiple fraud in college. She completely cut off her family. And now she's manipulating you by keeping me away from Emma. David put his head in his hands. I can't believe this. She told me she was from California, that her parents died in a car accident, that she had a perfect college record. David, everything she told you was a lie. And there's more. I played the recording of my phone conversation with Elena. Elena had described Jessica's manipulation tactics in detail. David, the reason Jessica keeps Emma away from me is because she's afraid I'll learn about her past. Because when Emma grows up, I'll tell her stories about her grandmother. And Jessica is very afraid of this. David's eyes filled with tears. Mom, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. She always made it sound like you were being too pushy, too old-fashioned. David, I raised you to be honest, hardworking, and family-oriented. Jessica sees these values as a threat because her own past is completely opposite to them. That night David and I talked for a long time. We discussed how Jessica exhibited manipulative behaviors, how she systematically distanced David from his family, how she used Emma as a control tool. Mom, I feel so stupid. How did I not see this? David, manipulative people are very skilled. They know exactly what to say and how to make you doubt yourself. The next day, David confronted Jessica. Jessica first denied everything, then tried to brush it off saying, it's all in the past, people change. But David now knew the truth. Jessica, David said, you lied to me about everything. Your name, your past, your family, your college record. And worst of all, you're keeping Emma away from my mother for your own selfish, manipulative reasons. Jessica went crazy with anger. Your mother is too old-fashioned. She'll ruin Emma with her outdated ideas. I'm protecting my daughter. My mother raised me to be an honest, hard-working person, David said. Can you say the same about your background? Can you say you've been honest with me about anything? After this confrontation, David gave an ultimatum: either Jessica would get professional help, change her behavior and let me see Emma, or he would meet with a divorce attorney. Jessica reluctantly agreed to go to therapy. But her attitude was still defensive. But for me, the real victory was being able to see Emma again. David came with Emma the following week. When Emma saw the door, she shouted, "Grandma," and ran into my arms. There's no describing that hug I had longed for 2 years, that child's smell, hearing that little voice. I missed you so much, Grandma. Mommy said you were sick and couldn't see me, but I knew you'd come back. My heart broke. Jessica had lied to Emma, told her I was sick and that's why I couldn't see her. I'm not sick, sweetheart. I'm perfectly healthy. And I missed you more than you can imagine. Emma and I had a wonderful time that day. We made chocolate chip cookies, read story books, played in the backyard. Emma had grown so much, but she was still my little princess. From that day on, everything changed. Jessica reluctantly started going to therapy. David now recognized Jessica's manipulation tactics. And most importantly, Emma could now spend time with me regularly. But the story doesn't end here. Because Jessica's situation at Hartwell Marketing also came to light. The investigation Rebecca mentioned was really targeting Jessica. It was proven that she had diverted client funds for personal use and she was immediately fired. When David learned about this situation, he made his final decision. Mom, I'm filing for divorce. I can't stay married to someone who's built our entire relationship on lies. The divorce process was difficult, especially for Emma's custody. But when Jessica's criminal history and pattern of deception were revealed in court, David was given primary custody. Now Emma spends half the week with David and half with me. When David is at work, Emma stays with me. I tell her stories, we bake cookies, we go to Washington Park. Emma now has a stable grandmother figure. Jessica? She's also trying to rebuild her life. I can say therapy has really helped her. She has supervised visits with Emma, and her behavior is much more reasonable. Recently she even told me, Mrs. Chin, I'm sorry for keeping Emma away from you. I was wrong. I will never again allow anyone to manipulate my relationship with my granddaughter. I will always be honest with Emma, show her unconditional love, and teach her family values. The most important lesson was this: people can hide their past, but truth always finds a way to surface. While Jessica tried to silence me, she actually suppressed her own voice. Now Emma and I are creating new happy memories together. This weekend I'm going to start giving Emma piano lessons. David loved piano when he was little. Emma has also inherited musical talent. And we no longer need Jessica's approval. Because family should be built on truth, love, and honesty, not manipulation and control. The moral of this story is, if someone puts unreasonable restrictions on your family, there are probably hidden motivations behind it. And sometimes, the best defense is a strong offense.